good evening, and welcome back to the Shadow Nook. This evening we are venturing to a place in the Midlands in England, in Staffordshire. This place is called Tutbury Castle. Tutbury Castle stands on a steep hill overlooking the River Dove, positioned deliberately to dominate both the surrounding countryside and the historic crossing point between Staffordshire and Derbyshire. Even in daylight, the ruins have a stark, exposed feeling, open to the wind, with long views that make the site feel isolated and watchful. The mixture of broken stone, surviving towers, and open sky creates a place where sound travels oddly. Footsteps echo, voices carry, and silence can feel unnaturally heavy. The castle was founded shortly after the Norman conquest, established as a symbol of control over the region. Its first purpose was both defensive and administrative, a stronghold from which land, taxes, and loyalty could be enforced. Early structures were likely timber before being replaced by stone, reflecting the growing importance of the site. From its earliest years, Tutbury was associated with power, authority, and confinement, themes that echo strongly in later ghost stories. Over the following centuries, Tutbury Castle expanded into a large and complex fortress with multiple towers, curtain walls, inner courts, and residential buildings. It became closely associated with royal authority, particularly the Duchy of Lancaster, tying the castle directly to the English crown. Kings, nobles, soldiers, servants, and prisoners all passed through its gates, leaving behind layers of human presence and emotional history. Life within the castle would have been noisy and crowded. Clanking armour, shouted orders, crying children, and constant movement within stone corridors. Now, Tutbury Castle is most famously associated with Mary, Queen of Scots, who was held here multiple times during her long captivity in England. Her imprisonment was strict and uncomfortable. The castle was cold, damp, and exposed to harsh weather. Mary's rooms were arranged to prevent escape, with windows often facing inward, towards courtyards rather than outward towards freedom. Despite her status as queen, she lived under constant surveillance. She was rarely alone and fully aware that her fate was not her own. Letters written during her time at Tutbury Castle describe misery, illness, and deep emotional distress. This prolonged suffering forms the emotional core of many of Tutbury's ghost stories during the English Civil War. Tutbury Castle was held by royalist forces. It was attacked, besieged, and eventually surrendered, making a violent and chaotic chapter in history. After the war, the castle was deliberately damaged to prevent it from being used again as a military stronghold. Walls were broken, towers weakened, and buildings left exposed, transforming a place of authority into haunted ruin. From this point on, Tutbury became a place of memory rather than power. Over the centuries, the castle slowly decayed. Stone was removed, buildings collapsed, and nature reclaimed much of the site. Later generations viewed it as a romantic ruin, beautiful but heavy with past. This gradual abandonment adds to the feeling that something has been left unfinished. Let's move on to some of the prominent ghost stories at Tutbury Castle. Mary, Queen of Scots, is perhaps the most frequently reported and emotionally resonant spirit linked to Tutbury Castle. She is often described as a solitary female figure in period clothing, moving slowly or standing still as if waiting. Some witnesses report a strong sense of sadness, oppression, or quiet despair when entering areas that are associated with her imprisonment. Her presence is sometimes accompanied by unexplained chills, sudden silence, or the feeling of being observed. Rather than appearing frightening, her ghost is often described as mournful, a queen who never truly left her captivity behind. Many believe her spirit lingers because her life at Tutbury was defined by helplessness and loss of control. One of the most unsettling apparitions reported at Tutbury Castle is a tall figure in full medieval armour. This apparition is usually silent and motionless, sometimes seen standing guard or walking with purpose. Witnesses often notice the figure before realising something is wrong. The armour appears solid and realistic until it vanishes into thin air. The figure is commonly associated with corridors, gateways, and areas where soldiers would have once stood watch. Some believe this spirit represents a guard or knight whose duty did not end with death. The lack of facial features and complete silence make this apparition particularly disturbing. Now there is a pale female apparition, often referred to as the White Lady. The White Lady has been reported drifting through the ruins. She is usually described as glowing faintly, her form indistinct, as though partially formed from mist. Unlike Mary's apparition, the White Lady is often seen outdoors, crossing courtyards or appearing near the moat. Some believe she is a separate spirit entirely, possibly linked to loss, betrayal, or grief unrelated to royal imprisonment. Others believe she is another manifestation of Mary Queen of Scots herself, seen in moments of heightened emotional distress. Her appearances are often brief, fading away as soon as she is noticed. There are several accounts that mention the apparitions of children within the castle grounds. These figures are often described as small, fleeting and playful, running, laughing or darting behind stonework. The contrast between childish energy and the castle's grim history makes these sightings particularly unsettling. In some reports, a small boy is seen standing alone, watching silently before disappearing. These spirits are often associated with feelings of confusion rather than fear. Their presence raises quiet, unanswered questions about life and loss within the castle walls. Visitors frequently report hearing footsteps where no one else is present around the castle. These footsteps are often slow and deliberate, echoing along stone paths or stairways. Voices have been reported, soft murmurs, distant conversations, or whispered words that cannot be understood. Sudden cold spots appear in specific areas, even on warmer days. Many people describe the feeling of being watched whilst at Tutbury Castle, particularly when standing alone in the ruins. These experiences often stop abruptly once acknowledged, leaving behind an unsettling silence. Tutbury Castle is not known for violent or aggressive hauntings, but for lingering emotion. Its ghosts are quiet, restrained, and deeply tied to personal suffering rather than spectacle. Castle feels less like a place of horror and more like a place of memory, where moments of the past continue to echo. The spirits associated with Tutbury seem unwilling or unable to move on. What remains is a sense that the castle is still occupied, not by the living, but by the stories that refuse to fade. Thank you for listening to the story. Before you go, let's do your oracle card reading. I'd like to once again do the spirit animal deck. As usual, I will draw one card and you can interpret it however you like. Okay. We have Mystic, which is the polar bear. Know that challenges make you stronger. Have faith when you face adversity. Take time to rest, dream, and renew your strength. Embrace your psychic abilities. You carry a shaman within. Let me know down below what this could possibly mean to you. Thank you once again for joining me this evening in the Shadow Nook. Don't forget to collect your subscription on your way out. And let me know if you enjoyed this new format. Sleep well.